Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is May 5th, 2024. Howard, are you celebrating Cinco de Mayo?
Yes, we're going for sushi. It's I think tomorrow is our I don't know, 28th, 29th anniversary. We're going to go celebrate.
Congratulations.
Early, didn't it? Mm-hmm.
That's a long time, Howard.
Almost as long as you've
Great
been
job.
born.
Great job.
Yes. So we're here for the summer, pretty much. And how's the baby?
The baby is doing great. Finally sleeping
That'll
upstairs.
change.
So
You better hustle.
yeah.
Better hustle. Baby could be up. Here's about, do you think the baby's a trend follower or a swing trader? First impression.
I don't know.
No, make sure they read your books.
I need more feedback. Yeah.
Let her rip.
Let's talk about the market. I mean, last week we had the FOMC meeting. As expected, the Fed did not touch interest rates. The market was worried that they're going to mention something about potentially raising rates because we had 3 consecutive months of higher than expected inflation, both PPI and CPI inflation. But they did not mention anything like it. They even said that there's still a chance that there might be a couple cuts later in the year. They even reduced, they cut the amount with which they reduced the balance sheet from 75 billion to 40 billion a month. Which is it's still reduction, but they're easing a little bit. I think the market was really happy with that. Even though on Wednesday stock sold off in the last 30 minutes. Overall, I think the price action Thursday, Friday was super bullish, and all the major indices made higher highs, as you can see here. This is in higher lows is the low, higher low, higher low, and you have a higher high, which is it's a bullish development. And small caps were especially strong, back above almost to their 50-day. And if you look at the Nasdaq Composite, closed above the 50-day. I mean, obviously, the volume was a little bit higher on the down days, but then we're seeing so many sectors and industries trying to rally and to set up that they wouldn't pay that much attention to the indices because we're in a market of stocks right now, and 6 of the Magnificent Seven companies reported. What's really standing out is that most of them would gap up, right, except Meta, but then they would fade. People or institutions would take profits on those big gaps. And what matters if they can hold those gaps, like here we're looking at Apple. I think it's really, from a bullish boost perspective, it would be constructive to see it hold above 180 and kind of curl up and start building a base above 180. That would be bullish. I think if it goes below 180, 179, it'll probably quickly close this gap. And we saw similar action in Google, like amazing earnings, raising dividends, gap up, and it was faded as institutions are taking profits. But then it's starting to curl up and build a new base here above 160, which is bullish. And we can go through all of them, but most of the Magnificent Seven had really good earnings season. Even Tesla, which missed estimates, even they gapped up. And last Monday they gapped up again as Elon Musk went to China, and they allowed him to train or to take data from his self-driving software that he's using there on Tesla. I mean, as long as it holds here above this the 50-day, it's kind of curling up. That's bullish. I think in the short term. I don't know. In the long term, they need to show results, show earnings and sales growth. So, and Microsoft, the same case, strong earnings, gap up, immediately faded, but last week is starting to bounce. So overall, I think it's just NVIDIA is left, but from all the major earnings reports that we heard, all those companies said that they're spending record amounts on building the AI infrastructure, and guess what? NVIDIA is the biggest beneficiary. The question is how much of that is already priced in, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pre-earnings rally. I think they report in 17 days towards the end of May, and it's kind of setting up here near 900. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pre-earnings rally in a strong market, like trying to test back the previous highs. So overall, this is what I'm seeing. And obviously the other one that I want to mention, MU, strong earnings report rally, pulled back to its 50-day, kind of held its earnings gap, and now it's starting to set up again. I think if it goes back above 150, 116, we'll probably see a new base.
Yeah, so look at that, like Micron right there. So we don't know, I mean, it's not the same as NVIDIA, right? I've been studying this through Michael Parek's free Substack, who's all in on AI and investor in a lot of semiconductors. He spoke at our event. And I think the problem comes if Micron breaks those lows. It's not a matter now of like, should you buy it? Everybody's got to use their own risk reward strategy, but the stock's in an uptrend. It should continue to move higher. I think it's what happens if it doesn't, right? So I think you've got to stay with the trend. Look at Google, right? Like the breakout. It's not going to go alone. That's why Apple, held resistance, right? Sentiment was too negative on Apple, just like it was too negative on Google a month or two ago. And Apple's not going to be left behind in AI. It doesn't mean the stock's going to go up, but just, the market is not in a position to yield much right here, right? The election coming up, two awful candidates, obviously, but no one cares. So, I mean, we're I think May, June, July, we're getting close to the 6 months that the market was really going to care who was president. Right now, maybe the vol did start picking up is what we've seen. But, I'm watching, like I said, Google, Goldman Sachs. Google looks great. Goldman Sachs looks great. Gold looks great. So the S&P looks fine, right? Those are my proxies, right now for just checking in on the Goldman's all-time highs on a weekly close.
Yeah.
Hard to see the S&P disappearing here. NVIDIA's earnings May 26, and I think just won't give back anything. That's I don't know what to tell people, but like it's just not everybody knows it's overvalued.
It's looking bullish, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody knows it's overvalued. Everybody knows everybody owns it, but that's the fact that it continues to not yield is interesting, right? Like again, I don't own it, I own it through my indexing. So a couple other things that look interesting. I think we should talk about, because I think you started talking about China last week. It's hard to deny that as much as I don't care, there's something going on there finally.
Yeah. Two big weeks in a row, like significant
2 big
weeks.
weeks, a massive volume in the last
Yeah.
7-8 weeks. So again, to ignore, again, I don't know how to best play it. I think KWeb, CQQQ, don't follow China closely enough. Maybe Tencent. I haven't checked Tencent in a while, but there's some, these are how bottoms start looking, right?
Yeah.
Solar, and with China is solar, right? Solar stocks we talked about them a few months ago, and I was like, let's wait. But some of the solar stocks for solar is
for solar's breaking out, definitely.
Yeah, it looks like a great base. If not, it's what is
it's
it?
breaking out,
Yeah, it's not at some crazy valuation. Let me just see. Is it 90 times earnings or 9 times earnings? Yeah, it's not
19.
crazy value.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not crazy valuation. And this stock has broken my heart many times. But that's a pretty good setup, considering where rates are and how it just didn't yield to the higher rates like the rest of solar. So keep an eye on that. Another one I was looking at, I follow so many stocks and I'm just looking at strength. but FTAI, Fortress Transportation, take a look at this then. I'm trying to, what they do. Aviation sells, lease aerospace products. So again, aerospace, as bad as Boeing has done, this has just been a monster.
Yeah.
So there's winners out there.
There's some
Wow, look
huge,
at
huge
that.
winners, Howard. I mean, most of the big earnings winners from this season are just lesser known names.
Yeah.
Um, but we have some pretty significant earnings gaps.
Yeah.
This
Well,
which
another
can
Asian. Oh, sorry. Keep going. Significant.
which
Yeah.
can
There's been
potentially
earnings
turn
gaps.
into bigger trends if you give them some time, to pull back and just offer a better entry point. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So saying SE, which is gaming,
Yeah, definitely one of the ways
Asian
to
gaming. I own that one.
broke out last week. One of the big
Yeah.
winners from
Yeah.
2021, and then one of the big losers from 2022. And now it's finally starting to build a base and broke out.
Yeah. So doing a little work there. My friend Justin Sasslaw at Ribbit walked me through the story a few months ago when I bought some. And again, China and Asia's opening up. This could
Yeah,
be good for them.
it's one big trade. Like they all kind of trade together.
Yeah,
PDD
yeah.
broke
But
out,
that
obviously.
for a couple of years, it was just other than a few Chinese stocks, it wasn't worth it. But now with the indexes
Yeah,
stronger and no one talking about them,
obviously traveling
uh,
stocks super
yeah,
popular everywhere around the world, doing well. This is the Chinese booking, and then DSSP. This is the Argentine base
interesting.
also doing well.
Yeah, so is
Uh,
Mercado Libre, which is in that space.
yeah, Mercado Libre
Um,
had a pretty big pullback, but then they also gapped up on earnings. So they continue
yeah,
to deliver pretty significant sales growth and now even earnings growth. So they'll probably build a new base. Like if they hold above 1600 and kind of build a new base here, they're probably going back
yeah.
to their all-time highs.
Yeah,
Uh,
so LATAM could be the metals, could just be their internet companies in China, could be metals. They're buying a
or
lot
it
of
could be the
gold.
US dollar pulling back, and just giving
Yeah,
weight to all the foreign stocks. Here we see the US dollar pull back last week, and we also saw interest rates pulling back. And when you have, those two happening, obviously this is bullish for stocks in general. And then, we can do a lot better if, pick the right stocks at the right time. But this is a bullish
yeah,
background when interest rates and the dollar are pulling back.
yeah. Still a lot of speculation too. Trump stock, GameStop. But
Yeah.
software continues to struggle. Cloudflare, which is I didn't look through the numbers. I'm long, but it's a
Yeah, they have very
long-term
steep
hold.
valuation still. I mean, obviously it was a strong earnings report, but the valuation is still pretty steep, 156 times earnings.
Yeah,
So
but
they just need some time for valuation to catch up.
yeah, you're right.
So
And they didn't really miss. It's just expensive. So that's
yeah.
giving back all its gains off the
It would
lows.
be interesting to see some of the other cybersecurity like Crowd, which, still richly valued 99 times, but kind of setting up here near the 50-day.
Yeah.
Um,
And then fintech just, can't get a
yeah, I think
can't
Hood
get any real
reports,
traction.
Robinhood reports this week, right? So it will be
Yeah.
interesting to see if they can
Well,
uh,
I don't have a
follow through.
feel. Yeah, I don't have a feel. It's not crazy expensive. They're definitely
Most of the
legit.
financials had really strong reports
The
this quarter.
the the brokers and the capital markets, but like Square, PayPal, Adyen, they continue to struggle. So
But Robinhood is a
no,
broker, so
right. I just
it's a
said
brokerage.
Robinhood's
Yeah,
not, but I'm saying the fintech companies like Square, PayPal, Adyen still continue to just not make headways. Right? They peek their head up, people get excited. But yeah, capital market stocks like Goldman and Schwab look great and interact with brokers. I'm trying to think what else. And then what are you doing on the swing side?
well, I'm taking some trades. Some of my big trades from last week was China, PDD. I had some calls and stock in this one, that went up.
Yeah,
I sold it for 6x what I paid. It went up 10x, but I'm happy with that. And I'm taking some, short-term swings, on Google, MU.
are you doing it with
But
options?
Mostly stock, but occasionally I would do both stock and options, but mostly stock.
Okay.
Tesla setting up, I think if it goes up above 185, we can see it try to rally towards 190, 200.
Yeah.
Google is setting up, I think if it can go above 168, it can probably revisit the previous high near 175. These are like short-term really swings, not anything longer
Yeah.
term. Obviously, there were a lot of decent swings in the mid caps, like the few that I took, Williams Sonoma, like huge earnings breakout here, range contraction here above the rising 50-day, and then here on Thursday when I took it right above the previous day's high, and obviously I had luck because it gapped up the next day with strong Apple, and obviously on Friday the job numbers missed estimates, right? Came below estimates, and the market was actually excited and it rallied because weak economic developments, weak numbers, weak job numbers, it means that the Fed is much more likely to cut sooner than expected. So now, I guess what's bad for the economy is good for the stock market right now. We're in this weird period.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
SE, yeah, I traded this one too. Bought some before this breakout here. Yeah, I've been just taking, definitely swing trading has started to work a lot better in the past week or so.
Yeah, I took a couple. I'm sharing stuff on StockTwits for people that had the snap trade.
Yeah, I trade this one too.
Out.
Yeah, definitely with stock and options. Yeah.
Yeah, I got lucky there. I just saw the Facebook action kind of firming, and MMYT, which are long, bounced back nicely. So that's with the travel stocks, right? Like,
yeah,
it was a pretty steep pullback. Didn't really.
Yeah, even booking. I mean, obviously, just like any of the big stocks, gapped up on strong earnings and then it was faded. Like I feel like some institutions are really using those earnings gaps in the really popular names to take profits. But then the lesser popular names, like they're kind of following through. Look at this one that is in aerospace, gaps up, follows through. Like the names that are not as well known. And there was another
What's
one.
the weekly? Yeah. So I think what you can see is money coming out of just rotating around.
Yeah, in the less popular
Magnificent
names.
Seven. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're obviously popular. They're just not followed. What's the market cap on this?
It's 32 billion, so it's not a small company. It's
how much? 3 or 32?
32.
That's a big ad. I've never heard of it, so I got to put that on my screen. It's just an HWM. Jesus.
Yeah.
And it has the defense industry. HWT? What is it?
I know this one that is like a leveraged, 3 times leveraged defense, and it's setting up near 52
Yeah,
highs.
but what's the regular? Can you go back to that other one? Howard? What's it?
I don't know the regular one, Howard, but I can.
HWT? No, what's the
HWM.
HWM.
But let me see if I type defense. Yeah, I don't know what's the non-leverage one. I usually use this one, DFEN, to judge what's going on in the sector. And obviously they have LMT, NOC, and they have probably Boeing.
I think it's smaller ones that are doing.
And they have some of the small ones like AVAF, obviously super strong.
I own that. Yeah.
Broke out again. Exxon also is looking strong, setting up here. Reports tomorrow.
Oh, do they report tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a note.
But super strong. Look at this base. Yeah.
Yeah, I own that. It's kind of all through their cloud base, and they have evidence.com, which is really cool, which is kind of, as much as regular people like TikTok, the law enforcement people just love evidence.com. And it's really changed with AI, how they can file police reports, etc. So that's an Exxon kind of product. What's this?
Just another name in the space from Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you gotta watch the new highs list. You gotta watch Trends with No Friends or StockTwits 25. Obviously this show, but you've got to stretch your imagination here. If you're trading Tesla, great, but you're missing out on just a really thick
Yeah, if you're trading Tesla,
environment.
it has to be kind of intraday. But
Just people,
yeah,
just all they continue to talk about is Tesla and, Apple. And, the market seems to be, digesting the fact that they're not leading.
I mean, they're not
Um,
growing, Howard. Look at their growth, like
yeah, I understand.
minus
So,
four
but,
percent for
and there's,
Apple sales
yeah,
growth.
yep. It's trading on sentiment mainly, right? And sentiment gets too negative, it's kind of like the market. And they didn't blow up. Earnings weren't great, but they didn't blow up, like you said. Okay, buddy. Well, have a great
All
week.
right, you too, Howard.
See you, everybody.
See you. Bye.